Yeah, I can hear you. How are you doing,
Yeah,
buddy?
yeah, you're all right. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is all something which I'm having to get used to, talking to people through screens instead of
Yeah.
actually being able to be in the same room as them.
How many have you done?
Well, I've done like obviously like in between the family, I've probably done a fair few, and I've done like quite a few of these for like Independent Venue Week.
Yeah.
Um, which actually I have to say thanks to you that I've been actually involved with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was you when you became the ambassador for Independent Venue Week. You
Yeah.
asked me to put on a show for the
Yes,
Bristol
yes,
gig.
yes. So,
Yeah,
and that's how.
yeah,
Oh, fantastic. Oh, nice one. Oh, that's
yeah.
good to
No,
know.
the one thing I wish I had, because like not many people know this, but I wrote back when I was working with a group called Art and Power, who are like a special needs arts group.
Yeah.
Um, the one and only job which I actually had, I did a creative writing project where I was writing kind of like kind of fan letters to people,
Yeah.
but with really interesting layouts.
Yeah.
And one of the people I wrote to was you.
I do remember.
Yeah, I
I
know
do.
you're probably the only person who actually saw their fan mail.
Well, we go back a long way, don't we? So,
Yeah, I guess it must be at least like kind of a good 15 or so years,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
reckon.
Yeah. I remember you going out to see Factory Floor as well.
Yeah,
Declan, I don't know, what was that? Maybe 10? That was maybe 12 years ago now or something.
yeah. I mean, I definitely very much remember that because also the other
Yeah.
thing is I wasn't expecting necessarily to see you there.
Oh no,
Also,
I was roadieing that day.
yeah, no, it's like kind of staring at you, going, "Who's that odd person who's staring at me?" Whilst I was also like, kind of, I also remember at some point I ended up on the floor, I think,
Yeah.
because of like I was properly freaking out.
Oh.
Thing is, though, is that I'm a lot calmer than I used to be, but that was definitely one of my more wilder sides, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think that was a good show, and it was. I mean, I always used to sort of like judge how cool the band was. Um, I mean, if you were there, then the band were doing okay.
Yeah,
and
so,
uh, and if you weren't there, then you're either too busy or the band weren't good enough. Yeah.
yeah, that that has happened sometimes,
But
but
yeah, the Factory Floor show was a big one, and then I remember you couldn't come to see us in Bristol, so I invited you to Bath. I
yeah,
think
I think
that was
I remember that one because I was really kind of under the weather, so I was
yeah.
like needing so like I think I pretty much down nearly a pint's worth of vitamin C
Oh wow.
just to like
Well,
kind of.
you gotta keep going.
Oh yeah, well to be honest, I've been told that I'm a little bit like the Duracell bunny. I think
Oh,
so. I
well,
think that
you go to about 5 gigs a night, don't you?
sometimes it's too
Yeah.
much. Sometimes my body just like goes like. Actually, that's the thing is with lockdown, I've actually been going to more because of like obviously staying in for shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually I found that it's a I found that kind of like it has helped
Yeah.
with to a certain extent and having like the live streaming of things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then also it also presented other problems, which is also the fact that I used to use kind of going to gigs as in a way of getting out my flat or like kind
Yeah.
of going out and being around people.
Yeah.
And I did notice that when I'd be going for because I'm down in my parents at the moment.
Yeah.
Because trust me, my flat does not look as plush as my parents' flat does.
Very nice.
Yeah, I've even got like some of my grand's artwork on the wall and stuff.
Oh,
Like, I'll try and
that's a nice room.
like it's tapestry
Oh yeah, I
there.
see it. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, man. My grand was a really amazing tapestry artist
That's
on my
incredible.
dad's side of the family.
Wow, wow, wow. So where are you now then? Bristol?
I'm in Plymouth
Right.
because of like basically I think it's about 5 years after I moved to Bristol, my parents decided to move down to Plymouth.
Yeah.
Partly because also my sister literally lives about 5 minutes walk away from here. And so it's
Right.
like for them, it's like being closer to family, and my
Yeah,
dad's side of the family are all from Devon,
yeah, yeah,
so it kind of makes sense, really.
yeah. I mean, I knew it was out west. I'm east at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, about as east as you can get on the coast,
really.
Norfolk coast.
Well, hey, but at least, but the thing is, at least you're on the coast. You're on somewhere which is really beautiful.
I've got a bit of a suntan. I don't know whether you can tell. Well, it's just, or maybe it's a red face. I can't.
Well, to be honest, I've always seen that you kind of quite red faced anyway.
I know. Well, I'm pretty red faced these days. Yeah. So, I mean, have you? So, who have you been enjoying? And streaming, live-wise streaming and stuff.
Well, I've been really enjoying like Low
Yeah.
every Friday. Like they've been doing like a live set every Friday night,
Yeah. That's
which has
good.
always been like really amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's like Al and Mimi have been playing from their living room.
Oh, fantastic.
I've really enjoyed. Who else have I enjoyed? But obviously, I've been watching some of the Glastonbury coverage,
Yeah, that's been
which
good.
which is
Yeah.
a bit awkward, which is a bit weird because it's like we can't be there.
I know. I
And then
know.
you're looking back, and like you're looking back also, you're just thinking like social distancing in amongst these crowds.
I know. I mean, it's such an important, it's such an important weekend, in any music lovers,
Yeah,
diary. And I think I just felt a pang of sadness yesterday, and I know it's gonna be this, it's gonna last all weekend,
yeah,
because I just think everyone wants to be somewhere else than, I mean, I've been in this room, I've been doing lots and lots of interviews
yeah,
and performances, and it's all been in this room
yeah,
against this wall, and I'm ready to get out now.
yeah. Same here. But it's
Yeah,
like I was lucky enough, like last Monday to be able to escape to my parents, sort of thing.
yeah,
And because the fact that especially when you're living on your own, kind of like it
yeah,
can be kind of sometimes isolating enough. But then
yeah,
when you've got the whole lockdown as well, kind of going on, and I think that I'm not quite sure how to put it into words, really. I
yeah,
mean, I guess that I think that you've been really proactive. You've been using the time to be really constructive and to try and be, like trying to feed positive energy.
yeah. Well, yes, it actually keeps me positive too by doing it. I mean, a lot of people have enjoyed it, but it helps me too.
Yeah,
I like to feel useful, and,
I like. I
and,
guess also the thing is, I guess it also gives you a sense of focus as well.
totally, because the whole day pretty much is about organising, future listening parties,
Yeah,
and then the evenings there's like three a night, pretty much every night now.
it's
Um,
that's very full on.
it really
That
is. I mean, the weekend we've had some weekends where it's been like five and a film.
yeah.
It's just, but I just don't really know how to turn it off, if you know what I mean.
But then also it's also like about generating a positive mentality. So
Yeah.
like my friends who run specialist subject
Uh-huh.
records every Tuesday night for about 10 weeks they were organizing, like kind of live stream shows, and it would be like all people who would be, released through their label sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what was really great is that just to see the whole community was still there. So I'd recognize people's face, in the comments, I'd recognize people's face, like faces or names. I'd be like, you're here. Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Thank
keep,
goodness.
it's like cue lots of bad jokes, basically.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of record shops opening this week. Really, is
Yeah.
that about right? And Stranger Than Paradise and Rough Trade.
Well, I know that, well, I've already done my first dip into a record shop.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Because like um, yeah, basically, like there's a really good shop in the centre of Plymouth called Really Good Records.
Yeah.
And so yeah, when I went in, full mask on and everything,
And how
felt
was
like
it?
it was brilliant, but I also did feel slightly awkward because it felt like kind of like a hippie terrorist, kind of like because my mum had specially made like the mask, my face mask, and it's out of this like kind of really amazing, but it's like quite bright pink fabric
Yeah, yeah,
sort of
yeah,
thing. So I've definitely felt like, so it's like when I've been going on family dog walks across the river
yeah,
on Mount Edgecombe, we've
yeah,
all obviously had to wear them on the public transport. We all
yeah.
literally do look like as if we could be like a kind of like a hippie anarchist group.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'm just sticking with the kind of like the gloves and just the kind of like it looks like a hospital kind of like face mask really, but I got
yeah.
it. I got it from Marks and Spencers.
Well, I guess the thing is, though, is it's really weird when we think about it, like how we've got to adapt certain things and maybe
Yeah,
certain behaviours.
yeah. I mean, we're good at adapting now, aren't we? Really, I suppose, and just get on with it. Really. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a new way. I don't think things will ever be the same as they
Mm.
were, but in some ways, it's kind of that's quite reassuring. I think I like the idea that like nature seems to be really strong, and
Yeah,
kind of, like, the birds are really sort of singing, and the sort of skies are clear, and there's not as much pollution and things like that. And
mm.
my big worry is that it's all just everyone's just gonna pile back in, and sort of emissions are gonna kind of like raise, and people are gonna not be not not
Yeah.
not have empathy towards one another and all that, and it's all gonna go.
Or maybe something like people like they don't necessarily know how to switch instantly, and it might
Yeah,
take them some time.
yeah. I mean, I think switching over time is better than instantly kind of like going back to how things were.
Yeah, I think also the other thing is that I mean I found with like live streaming of shows, for
Yeah,
instance, is that it really helped me actually kind of like playing music when I'm outside,
yeah,
and especially
yeah,
as I quite often stream stuff through my phone,
yeah,
and and find obviously because I didn't have like any headset, so I'd be just like literally walking through a park and playing like something like this. The kid would be doing like their Royal Albert Hall show something,
yes,
and I'd
yeah,
try and stop in one of the local parks and just like see if the birds would be reacting to it and how
yeah.
nature responds to sound.
And how did they?
I think that it was a bit hard to judge. But I definitely think that
Yeah,
I think they did change, like some of the chirping rhythmically,
yeah. Having a
especially
sing along.
yeah, especially when you got like about 100 starlings all going off at the same time.
Well, she can play the banjo, can't she?
Yeah.
So it's
Oh
good.
man,
Get a good bird sing along.
that's the thing is that I did actually ask her actually about whether she thought her music could have a positive effect on the environment.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sure it does.
yeah, I mean that's I guess that's like why I go to like her gigs is because I know that I'm going to come out of it no matter whatever mood. I'm going to feel like a certain like lifted feeling.
Yeah, yeah. No, she's really great.
Yeah, man. Also makes me miss End of the Road festival.
Yeah, I mean, I was really looking forward to playing my album. Uh,
Yay!
you
Plug,
know,
plug, plug.
well, I did 4 shows, but I was, and it's kind of, let's put it this way, it's not gone the way that I expected it to go, because
Mm.
I expected people to get into the album by seeing it live,
Yeah.
and I was going to be playing all the festivals,
Yep.
and so yes, and I wanted to be able to mix with the musical community, and kind of like
Mm.
talk to them about, because I was very excited to talk about my stuff, but obviously
Yeah.
I'm very interested in other people's work as well, and that's where things happen in a way, by people meeting, isn't it?
Mm.
And so I'm missing all of that.
Yeah, I think I'm missing that as well. I think that's the thing is that when people say, "Oh, are you missing gigs?" It's more than just the music; it's everything
It
which
is.
goes with it.
It is.
And
Yeah.
that like there's case of like especially I've got like fondness with a lot of Bristol venues like the Exchange and the Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
Exchange have actually asked me to design the T-shirt
Oh, fantastic! Oh,
Yeah, so like
fantastic.
so I've just like I did an image of like it should be around somewhere, I think it's in here. Where basically it's like my fist but in like a kind of like doing like the kind of power sort of thing, but like all
Oh,
the
fantastic!
wristbands.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think that it's something, especially where the venue is situated, it's something that they really believe in,
yeah,
sort of thing. And also, I see it's very much quite often people do see me at shows fist pumping the air, sort of thing,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Oh, fantastic!
And like, obviously, like I had stuff like the Louisiana,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, I'll always say it's, I mean, pretty much every single one of my chats I've kind of ended up giving them a shout out. Because there's pretty much some nights where they could barely even remove me, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure I'm sure they love having you there. You know.
Yeah, they've even named the wrist stamp after me.
Oh, that's good. That's
So like
good.
when you go in through the door, it's like you'll have like literally big Jeff endorsed, like kind of branded on your wrists.
Patron saint of Louisiana.
Oh God, yeah. I don't know about anything about patron saints personally, Tim. I don't think I've been patron saint of anything.
But no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I mean it's definitely like kind of like as if what we're going through is will definitely make us reevaluate maybe how we treat each other.
I hope so. I hope so. That's kind of what I was trying to sort of like try to convey before, really. I think people were trying. I think people were almost crushing each other, you know,
Mm.
and stepping over everybody. And I think
Yeah,
I'm hoping some warmth comes back, not just with the weather, but like towards
yeah,
human beings, you know.
exactly. I mean, that's what I hope
We've been
for as
through a
well.
lot. We've been through a lot,
Yeah,
equal all of us, you know.
exactly. Well, to be honest, it's like as if in like um, I'm not quite sure how to put it in words. Like, I mean, I struggle personally with hot weather, but in terms
Yeah.
of like empathetic warmth,
Yes.
that's definitely something I really highly value myself.
Absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely.
that it's partly through having the parents who brought me up, and they've been like really supportive, and that
Yeah.
they've like kind of, I guess, shown me like ways and how to talk to people and how
Yeah.
like kind of like how I used to be like I used to nearly always have to be like kind of, especially when going into gigs or going into like I
Mhm.
suppose it's safe spaces. I'd be like, right, this is my space.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to come and chat with me, come into my space, and I'll usually be stood about 2 or 3 meters away from anyone else,
Yeah. But
sort of thing.
I mean, you're so super open, you know what I mean,
Mm.
and I think that's um, what do you call it? But it's um, you know, I'm still for words now, but it's spread, that warmth kind of spreads, you know what I mean,
Mm.
and so it's a really great quality.
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes what led me to doing some of the stuff which I've ended up doing. Really,
Hmm.
for
Oh
instance,
yeah.
so like even like I would say even 5 years ago, I wouldn't ever imagine myself being able to sit down and have like some of the conversations which I've been having.
Right.
I think that
Is that a confidence thing as well, do you think?
yeah, oh
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Jesus Christ, me compared to me 10 years ago,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
definitely
Well, everybody
much.
loves you, don't they? So
Yeah, well, I guess it's just because of it's like learning how to accept things.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like I found myself in a weird, like I found myself in weird situations before, but I found myself in the weird situation with the renaming of the Colston Hall, and they had this huge petition to change it to my name. And I was like, no, no,
Well, it's very difficult where it kind of like comes from. So,
yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's like so if I'm not angry towards the people who did it,
hmm.
I'm just like a bit like, okay, that put me, a bit on a, I guess, like a pedestal in some ways. I guess you may have had like the same thing, and maybe in the past sort of thing, with maybe people, the way which people look up to you.
uh, yeah, I kind of. I don't really think about it at all.
No, that's fair enough.
I like to do as much to deflect it as possible.
Same with me, to
and
be honest.
I um, I get my kicks from doing things, um, and just the stuff, and yeah, that's how I live my life, and that's
Yeah,
I
I
kind of
think.
like I kind of like moving forward, kind of leaving a bit of a trail, and
Yeah,
and that's about it. And that's how I get my kicks, just by kind of like finding something new, writing a new song. And if people are into the work, then that's fantastic,
mm.
But
It's also about allowing yourself to be inspired by, I guess, by other things.
oh,
By
totally. And
like,
well, that's getting back to why I'm missing playing at festivals this year. Is because a lot of what comes next is
mm,
usually decided, for me anyway, by who I meet while I'm playing my music. Like
yeah.
other people in bands, people who future collaborations, people who I might want to put records out by,
Yeah.
who I'm going to work with next, and things like that. And
All of a
then
sudden, all of a sudden, the random artists that you stumble across, and you just like go,
yeah,
"Who
it
the
would become your
frick is
favorite band.
this?"
Yeah, it would become your favorite bands then, and things
Yeah.
like that. And so that's where I'm struggling really.
I guess that's the thing is like, 'cause I'm so used to that as well, because like that's how I've been introduced to, I guess, a lot of my favorite people. Or sometimes the only way which I'd get to even see some of my idols would be
Yeah,
to say like going to festivals.
yeah,
Like I mean, like this weekend, obviously with the Glastonbury
yeah,
kind of highlights, like they're going to be showcasing David Bowie. That set from 2000, which was like that. I mean, I was 17 years old and I was in the audience for that, and I was like, wow. I
yeah.
mean, cause that was my first Glastonbury as well,
Oh, wow,
and I
wow.
went because every Glastonbury I've been to, I never actually could afford the tickets, so I would always go as a litter picker.
Yeah,
So I do litter picking shifts like the
yeah, yeah,
entire
yeah.
kind of either the week building up or like the week over the weekend.
It's like, is this voluntary work? Is that,
Yeah,
yeah,
sort of thing. But what they do is they make you pay the ticket, but then you get the money refunded
got
after you
you,
completed the shifts,
got
which I
you.
think
Yeah,
is completely
okay,
fair enough.
I understand
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. And I mean, but through that, I've got to see some absolutely amazing shows. I mean,
yeah,
like David Bowie,
yeah,
Iggy Pop and the Stooges,
yeah.
which I saw possibly one of the biggest stage invasions in the world because he literally
Well, but
he's
he invites everyone up, doesn't
yeah.
he?
But the security weren't prepared for it.
Oh
Exactly how
wow,
much? Oh Jesus Christ!
wow.
I think they nearly covered the stage in about a foot's worth of mud. I
And
mean
was
they had
that
they,
the pyramid stage or
no, he was on
pyramid
the
station? Was it?
other stage because he
Yeah,
was headlining. It was the same night as I think it might have been either the Killers or Arctic Monkeys on the main stage.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, it was the Killers because if it was Arctic Monkeys were on the same time as Björk,
yeah.
and like I was like, sorry, Arctic Monkeys, you're not Björk. Björk is probably one of my in terms of like someone who I've really admired as an artist or like
Mhm,
who's always done interesting, challenging things. I would say
yeah.
probably Björk is one of my all-time favorites.
I remember when I was maybe like 15 or 16 or something like that. I first heard Björk singing for a band called KUKL,
Yeah,
uh,
Kulk,
Kukul or Kulk,
Kuku,
and
Kuku.
they were on a record. It's called Bullshit Detector
Yeah,
on Crass Records.
yeah. I remember. I mean, like it's amazing because a lot of that stuff's recently been reissued. A lot of
Right,
her
yeah,
earlier stuff.
Crass are doing reissues now. Yeah, 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 yeah.
But it's really amazing to think of even as a teenager she was doing really forward thinking
Oh,
music.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Very much so.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like there's video footage of her like 11, 12 years old
Yes.
fronting like kind of free jazz noise bands, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's like a wow, okay,
Yeah. It's pretty exceptional.
yeah. But it's like as if whenever people, quite often whenever I hear people talking about forward-thinking bands, they quite often think Radiohead, and I'm like, no, Björk, Björk, definitely,
But she was
definitely,
going to play. She was going to play at Blue Dot, and I was
yeah.
looking forward to. I was going to be playing that too, so I was looking forward to seeing her
Well,
there.
her shows are always spectacular.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, I guess, with someone like her, is that she always says, look, you're coming into my world.
yeah,
And that's the reason why there's probably a few artists that I would say that I'd prefer to go and see in big venues.
yeah,
And I mean, Björk is definitely one of them, because if it is like, okay, we're being taken into her artistic vision, this is what
yeah,
she wants you to feel.
yeah.
And I think
No,
that that's,
I've never seen her as solo, but we played together in America when she was in Sugar Cubes,
wow, that must have
and
been pretty amazing.
it was, yeah, Pearl Jam were headlining. They were
Wow.
like they were like filling outside arenas, kind of
Yeah,
like 10,000 capacities, and
if not bigger.
yeah, and then it was Charlatans and Sugar Cubes rotated, who went on, like we took turns, stuff like that. So, but there's good. Her and Einar were really lovely, and
Yeah. Because I remember seeing the singer from the Sugar Cubes doing really. It was like there used to be like an alternative art festival in Bristol called Van Festival,
yeah,
and I remember seeing the singer from the Sugar Cubes doing it was Ghost Digital,
yeah,
and yeah, I just remember that being really crazy.
yeah. Oh,
It's like
yeah, it's fun.
yeah,
He's a fun guy. We got on really well.
but it's like as if he did a song where he apologized to sofas for parking around on them, and then like he also did a song called "Love Is a Killer Disease," and it's
Wow,
just like
wow.
I was like, okay, this is.
Yeah,
It's like
good.
this is
This is
definitely
good.
going to
This is
be
the good
going into
stuff.
my memory bank.
Brilliant.
I mean,
So what's happening next then for you?
I don't know. I mean, like that's the thing. I guess. I mean, I'm keeping on doing these really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I mean,
How
I've
many?
been
How
lucky.
many have you done? Like, how many have you
This
done?
this like the sixth one, I think.
This one, yeah. And then are you doing what? Any others today or
No, no, we just do
no?
one a week. Because otherwise, Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Friday. So next Friday then. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
and and,
Jesus,
and have you
it,
got have you bought any records today?
oh no, not today. I haven't left the flat yet. Actually, to
No.
be honest with you, I mean, like, it takes me. I guess it takes me sometimes quite a while to sometimes get out places.
Yeah.
But then also like I've been spending most of the time with the family.
Yeah.
So I just had my niece and nephew over,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, so like they literally live about like kind of 2 minutes in that direction, sort of thing.
Wow. So you got everybody around you, really.
Yeah, and so it's like it's been really nice to have that, especially as I hadn't been to my parents in about 6 months,
Yeah.
sort of thing. So the last time I was down here would have been Christmas time,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But then it's like it's been really good because it's been really reminding me that I've got something which some people don't have.
Oh, yeah.
I've got like kind of like really supportive people around me. You
Yeah.
know, not everyone on this planet has that really.
No, I agree. I feel fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it's a bit of a blessing in some ways, isn't it? A lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. It's just but it just yeah, just miss going to the gigs.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess the thing is, though, so also one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you is because of like you did inadvertently soundtrack my childhood.
Oh, wow! Thank you very much.
Because the only one I know that came out, what is that, 30 years ago?
Yeah, 30 years ago this year, really. Yeah. So I mean, it's been pretty much a staple at lots of nightclubs for a long time.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
think it's still it's allowed us to do so many different things, that song, because it's just constant, you know, it just constantly, you know, helps pay the rent, you know.
It's like I guess it's like one of those sorts of things where it's become such an anthem that people have like adopted it into their own lives.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's, you know, it's an easy one to sing along to. It's an easy one to dance to,
Yeah,
um, and it's 120 BPM, and it's like, you know, so it's like it's just kind of, it's just everything about it is really easy, you know.
yeah,
And we didn't know when we were writing it, that it was that. You know, it just kind of came easy too. So
I guess that's part of it though, isn't it? It's part of the charm.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think
without that.
that I think that it's also that I mean, because I guess I would have heard. I mean, I guess would have heard it either through Radio One or
Yeah,
like through like Top of the Pops, for instance.
yeah,
And people forget about how important it was, to have like programs like Top of the Pops and stuff like that, which where they would have like live performances on TV.
yeah. I mean, just bringing, you know, music into your front room. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't happen on national television. I don't think.
No,
Anymore. Though I don't really watch national television.
no, neither do I, to be honest.
Just watch it.
But yeah, but when we're like, but when you're thinking about like the future kids, how we're gonna, like kind of, think of like the fact that we used to have this as like our regular staple would be Thursday nights, can like sit down and be like, oh look, Top of the Pops is on.
Yeah, and you watch it with your family, wouldn't you? And you sort of like, you know, love something, and then your mum would love something else, and your dad would laugh at the stuff that you liked.
Yeah, and then, or you'd probably look at it and go, this is awful. Like you,
Yeah, well, I remember saying to my dad about Buzzcocks. It's like, this is my Beatles. Do you
yeah.
agree? And he's like, no.
It's amazing because considering like a load of the Buzzcocks tunes, how relevant they still feel.
Yeah, all their singles are classics. Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that's how I recognised Skunk and Nancy was because I accidentally stumbled across them at
right.
Ashton Court Festival in Bristol
Oh, yeah.
when I was like 12 years old. And I only recognised them because of like seeing them on TV the
On
week
time. Yeah,
afterwards
of course. Yeah,
and
yeah.
watching like kind of Cass doing his headbanging. I was like, that's what I was watching. That's what I was watching last week and got really obsessed with.
With the, on top of the pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, I mean, you know, that I mean, the only one I know, you know, I don't want to speak too highly of it, but it's a killer tune, you know, and it's, as I say, you know, it's always been there in my life, you know, for the past 30 years, and it's always allowed us to do the things that we wanted to do,
Yeah.
which has been it's an amazing gift to us, you know, as well as, you know, as well as you know, people coming to see us, or listening to it on the radio or whatever. But it's been really helpful to us.
I guess it's because of like people don't necessarily realize, I guess I'm not quite sure how to put it into words, but I
uh-huh.
guess that from like my perspective, like at the time, I wasn't necessarily always aware of how it shaped me.
Yeah,
Sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Because like there's always songs which I'll always kind of go back to. Like I guess it's like a certain nostalgia thing.
Right. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
randomly, like I find myself get slightly obsessed by one-hit wonders.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'll get obsessed by. Do you remember a band called Whale?
No,
They were like a Dutch band in like the mid '90s, and they had
I do remember the name, but I don't remember the music so much. But
they had one really surreal but killer song called "Hobo Humping Slowbo Babe,"
oh wow,
which was like,
wow.
yeah, they were like kind of, I guess they're like kind of trying to fit in between, I guess somewhere in between like the kind of rap rock and trip hop
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah,
So they had this thing where they had like the really sweet female kind of lead vocals who'd be singing like the verse, and it's like kind of really kind of, I don't know, slightly almost weirdly kitsch sounding, but then they'd bring in like the big rock sound for the chorus sort of thing.
wow,
And
Wow.
they, yeah, and it's like it's one of those songs where it's really daft, but it's really kind of like that somehow I find myself getting obsessed with.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Then it
Yeah.
also like makes you realise, like I guess in the '90s that we had like that whole period where there was a lot more kind of fusion music that felt
Yeah.
like to me because you
Yeah.
had like I got really obsessed with a band called Dub War, who were
Yeah.
like a ragga punk band from Newport.
Yeah.
Um, there's Asian Dub Foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, Skunk and Nancy should be
Yeah.
included in there.
Yeah.
The Prodigy,
Yeah.
and then also
Yeah.
like yeah, there was like you guys with like the more indie kind of psych sound sort of thing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I liked Chemical Brothers, liked
Yeah.
Nena Cherry. Oh, she
Oh
was
man,
probably like late 80s, I suppose. But then De La Soul and
it's really amazing because
Beastie
actually
Boys.
Not many people know, but Nana Cherry actually has a really strong connection to Bristol.
I was aware of that. Yeah, I mean, she's
Yeah,
got a connection with Sweden and Bristol, which
yeah,
is kind of or Stockholm and Bristol,
yeah.
um, which
Because
is
like
a
well,
beautiful
massive.
thing.
I mean, 'cause Massive Attack produced her first record,
That's right.
which is like kind of like, and then she also funded the release of the Massive Attack first debut album.
Oh wow.
Because like she's like, right, okay, look, I'm a big bigger artist now. It's like,
Yeah,
right, okay, look, I'll basically I'll fund your project, and then she was like, because she was living in Stokes Croft at the time, I
yeah.
think.
She's just always been, you know, very aware I think with her dad and
Mm,
family kind of like having a loft in New York, and then I think mum's Swedish, is that right?
yeah,
And then the Bristol connection, and she's in a video for Big Audio Dynamite.
yeah.
Um, uh,
But also, she broke so many rules because she was also the first woman to perform pregnant
that's right. That's
on
right. That's right.
TV.
Yeah, yeah. And I think she's like involved with like the Slits as well,
Yeah.
so she seems like someone who's always given back.
Mm.
Like had
Well, she made.
opportunity and then giving it back, which that's what it's all about.
Well, it's like 7 Seconds turned what's his name into like an international star. The song 7 Seconds
Yeah.
turned. Can't remember the name of the guy because I'm terrible. Something remembering
Uh-huh.
some. But it turned him into an international, into like literally a worldwide superstar sort of thing.
Oh, wow, 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 wow.
Because you forget that it's probably that's like one of the top,
Oh, it's a
maybe
beautiful
five,
song. Yeah.
top maybe top five selling singles of the '90s.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is
I
like,
can't remember. I remember she did one with Michael Stipe, and remember. I remember 7 Seconds, but I can't remember who it was with.
but she's still like producing like really forward-thinking music
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah. I
I mean,
saw
the
her
last two
at
records that she's
Field
done have
Day.
just been absolutely jaw-dropping.
Yeah,
Like,
I saw her at Field Day about 5 years ago. Maybe a bit longer than that, but not this last album, but the end of the album before.
yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I
Yeah,
mean, it was cause that was with was it Fortet's backing band?
yeah, yeah.
Was it Rocket Number Nine?
Yeah,
And
yeah. She was with them. Yeah,
yeah, I mean that. But yeah, that it's like sipping. I guess that's how you think as an artist. Is like you think of like people you'd like to work with, and then how
yeah,
can it like progress you as well?
yeah. Definitely, because yeah, it all helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, do you think is that like how you can like work with yourself, sort of thing? You know?
definitely. I mean, because I want to keep moving forward. And yeah, I mean, it's just I think it's just a natural way. You don't want to do stuff that you've done before. You want to keep learning.
Mm,
You meet like-minded people who can help. Kind of you can work on things together and kind of like expand any kind of small idea that one
yeah.
person might have had is always better when there's a few more people around. I like to meet I like to meet people.
Yeah. I
And
think
yeah,
I think that's always come across. It's always been like, I guess, big with the kind of person that you are. So you do always come across as that kind of like directly honest kind of person.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it just or just kind of like just generally interested. I mean, um, yeah, I want to make music that is it is. I'm not going to say is a challenge, but it's a kind of like something that it's something that interests me, and things that interest me are things that are interesting, and
Yeah.
so I've just been working with Daniel from Grumbling Fur,
Yep.
Charles Haywood from This Heat.
Oh, Charles Haywood.
um,
Wow.
yeah, and I just love what he puts into the whole philosophy of a record, and
Hmm.
and it's kind of like you know Nick Boyd, worked with Nick Boyd on
Yep.
artwork, and they're just people that put so much goodness into things,
So you
and
can.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It's like almost like kind of receiving like very like encouraging results backwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's kind of it's like, so what we're going to do, and we kind of sit down, and it's like, well, this is the idea, and this is what we need to put into it. These are the
Mm.
ingredients that we need to put into it to make it as rewarding
Mm.
as a finished product as it is to actually the making of it.
Yeah.
What I mean? It's kind of and we have to see it through, and it has to look brilliant, and it has to be fantastic, and it has to feel fresh. And
And it has to feel you as well.
oh, definitely,
That's
all the time, because but that I bring myself to it, and wholeheartedly kind of like bring people into my world, and but I'm very very interested in their world and what they're bringing to it as well.
also, I mean, like, how did it come about working with like someone like Peter Broderick? Sorry for being
Oh,
so direct.
yeah, no, it's I like his work, and I really wanted his violin playing on the album,
Mm.
and we got on very well. So I asked him to be in the band, which is kind of I didn't know whether he would accept, and he did, and we got to play 4 shows together, and we did a radio session as well that was filmed, and
Mm.
that's the only remaining footage at this moment, because then the lockdown began.
Yeah.
But he's just a lovely guy, but obviously extremely talented,
Yeah.
and he really brings a lot to the party.
I mean, both him and his sister are incredible musicians.
Exactly. I met his sister. I met his sister in Coventry. We were making a video shoot, and Susan Lynch and his sister came along, and I think they had a gig the next day in Coventry
Yeah.
with Peter Zummo, who I'd worked with before as well, and
Wow.
yeah, and so he's a so he was over from New York, and it was weird because I've worked with them both separately, and then
See,
they
to be in
when
the
they
room
got
with them.
together, they were talking about me. It's kind
Yeah.
of fun.
But then that must also like be really flattering, but also be really slightly kind of, I guess,
It is
awkward at the
flattering.
same time.
No, it's flattering, because I love them for their work,
Mm.
and they don't mind working with me, so that's good.
That's always a good. That's always a big upside, isn't it?
Yeah,
To be honest, it's been like kind of like if anyone could put up with me, then it's like, yep, good
yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Peter Zumwalt was like a big main, big player in all of Arthur Russell's work,
Yeah.
and and he's like in my favorite top 5 of all time.
Actually, I think that I did see like the Arthur Russell tribute in Barcelona
Yes.
from a
Oh, that
friend's
I
home.
did.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I came on for 2 songs, didn't I? At the
yeah.
end. Oh, it was what a lineup that was.
Oh man, Jesus Christ! Every single year. I
Yeah.
mean, it's literally every single year. I just like. I mean, I was pinching myself this year because they booked one of my all-time favorite live bands to
Uh,
finally be playing Europe in about nearly 10 years, which was the Savvy Fab.
oh wow. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they're literally like up until I saw David Byrne a couple of years ago. I would
Mhm.
say the greatest ever gig that I'd ever been to was Le Savvy Fab in the bar of the Hanson Rooms,
Oh
and
wow.
that was
Fantastic.
one of those. It's like I've got so many stories from that show, of which like whenever I tell them, people go, "That didn't happen." It's like, Yes, it did. Trust me, I was there.
Wow.
You know, like this, like it's not often you see like a singer like semi deliberately electrocute himself on stage
Wow.
by basically unscrewing and rescrewing a load of light bulbs.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's like, I mean, that was like, let me think, 15 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
So I would have been like early 20s,
Wow.
and it was one of those shows where, because it was before I moved to Bristol, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, I kind of moved to Bristol in 2002 for college, but then moved back to Horsley, like the
Yeah.
little village which I'd grown up in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I remember having to stay over at my friend's house, literally crashing in their living room. I could barely walk after the gig, so I had bruises on both my kneecaps.
Oh wow.
Because literally, like within nanoseconds of the show starting, of course, the whole crowd burst into like a massive mosh pit,
Yeah. Yeah.
and which there's probably only about 100 people there, but still, because they're playing on not very high stage. Right,
Yeah.
obviously, I
Yeah.
smashed both my kneecaps against the stage.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of an ouch moment. I
Yeah.
remember the singer had like a 2 litre bottle of red wine that he kept on pouring down everyone's throats as he was swinging through the audience to like kind of get to the stage. And then like he kept on using people to be his mic stands. So
Wow.
he'd like kind of like he'd grab someone from the audience, haul them up at the stage. Like he was basically like a 16 stone version of Iggy Pop, basically.
Yeah. Wow.
And he'd
Wow. Wow.
basically get someone to hold the mic, and then he'd body sculpt them. So he'd be using his body to like bend people into shape. And then like he also had random like fancy dress costumes that he put on for different songs. And like so you quite often see him, you know, get completely stark bollock naked or like in giant pair of red boxer shorts, as in my case. And I remember seeing him kind of rolling around the room, but then he would like produce this baby grub outfit that he managed to stretch over his entire body. And
Wow.
then like it was like he was like kind of picking up bits of like plasterboard from the ceiling because they're really low hanging roof. And so he kept on like kind of unscrewing and rescrewing the light bulbs. But then this is the bit which actually caused the promoter to nearly have a fatal panic attack.
Yeah. Go on.
Um, which was because the stage that they're playing on basically wasn't a fully fixed down stage. And so he managed to work the stage loose and shove half of it right into the middle of the room.
Oh wow.
So you literally had like bits of stage scaffolding flying around the room. You had people diving on and off the stage. You had like kind of it's like all this kind of like you can see exactly why it probably ended up being one of my favourite shows.
Sounds like an
But
upset the rhythm kind of show.
yeah, partly because of the carnage, but then also because of they had some really great songs. You
Yeah.
know, they were like I think I mean, like the first there would have been like a whole part like the whole disco punk kind of
Yeah.
scene in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Like a rapture. You mean?
Yeah, and like Chuk 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 and
Oh, chick, chick, chick. Yeah, of
that
course.
sort of thing. And like, but they're
Oh yeah,
more like
rapture before that, weren't they?
yeah, but they're a bit more like XTC sounding
Yeah. Yeah.
sort of thing. But yeah, the whole thing is just like so when I saw them on the Primavera lineup, I was like, yay! Because
Yeah.
also supporting them was a band called Weird War,
Oh yeah.
which was Ian Simonius from
Yes. I
Nation
know.
of
Yeah.
Ulysses,
From yeah. Yeah. What are they
and
called again? What was the other band that was in Makeup?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the drummer from Trans Am.
Oh, fantastic! Wow,
Yeah,
that was a really good one.
I know. To be honest, I love. I mean, like Trans Am. I'll go on record. It's probably say made my favorite record ever.
Wow, wow, wow.
Or one of my favorite albums ever. One of the most life changing.
Yeah.
And it was partly I came across them this through Kerrang magazine.
Yeah.
You know, like I'd often buy Kerrang or like Enemy, and I'd always flick through the album reviews, and I saw an album of theirs called Redline, which
Mm-hmm.
had been released, and I mean in the small print of the kind of review section, I was like, okay, that's got 5Ks. I've got to seek that record out.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, literally just I remember like because because I was in Guildford at the time. I was studying drums.
Mhm.
An obsessive drummer.
And have you got the kit there?
Yeah, I had a kit down in not. I don't have a kit here. Jesus
No,
Christ!
no.
God, can you imagine how annoyed my parents would be? But yeah, no, I had like a kind of drum kit down there, and or like something to practice on, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I remember going into HMV on the listening posts.
yeah,
And this is the joy of record shops, is sometimes to be able to listen to things,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And but I remember that there were several times that they nearly had to bar me from there because I kept on listening to the Trans Am record so many times. But I'd be there for like, wouldn't be there for like 10 minutes. I'd be there for like 40, 50 minutes, getting like carried off into my own little world.
Mate. Hey, I've got to go now.
Hey, lovely to chat to you, Tim.
Great to talk to you, Jeff.
Look after yourself, buddy.
Yeah, look after yourself, mate. Take care, and see you. See you at Thekla.
Yeah, man. I'll hopefully.
It'll be
Well,
April next year now, so I'll see you at Thekla.
yeah, definitely, man. Look after yourself, Tim.
Take care.
Stay good.
See you later, mate. Be good. Bye.
Yeah, you too, buddy.